I don't know how to get from point A to point B, where I go from, miserable, loathing them, resentful, beating myself up, trying to save them, all of these yucky feelings. I don't know how to get from there to actually helping solve the problem. Comparison is the enemy of understanding. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about why that's really, really important when it comes to our loved ones who are struggling with addiction. When someone struggles with addiction, they're in a very different experience of life than you are. But sometimes we see them, we see their behavior, we see what they're doing, and we think, how could you do that? I would never do that. I would never treat you that way, so how dare you treat me that way? But the problem with this kind of thinking is that you aren't in their body right now. You aren't where they are right now. So when you look at them and you see what they're doing, and then you respond with a condemnation or judgment or a comparison of me versus you, or you versus someone better than you that's in my brain, all that we're doing when we do that is disconnect us. We keep ourselves separated, farther apart from that person that we love, that we're really wanting to help and wanting to support and wanting to see healed. When we compare and we say, you aren't doing as well as this vision of you that I have in my head, we're just judging them. We create this separation that makes it harder for us to actually connect with them. By piling on condemnation and judgment, we separate ourselves from them in our minds, but also in theirs. And then later down the line, when you want to say something like, hey, I see that you're struggling and I see that you need help, they still have that separation from you. That's been there for them. You created it by judging, by condemning, by comparing yourself to them or them to someone else that you think is better than they are. You've created a separation. And in doing so, you've separated any opportunity you have to actually reach out and connect with them. You've disconnected yourself from being able to get through to them, to help them, to connect with them in a meaningful way in which they could say, oh, you're right, I need help. Or, oh, okay, you actually care about me. You see me. They can't see that you see them if all you're looking at is how bad they are in comparison to who they should be. If that's the only attempt at connection that you're making, it's not gonna get very far. And you're gonna keep this relationship in a place of them assuming that you don't get it and you assuming that they're a failure. And that's gonna be the relationship as long as that's what you're bringing to the table. So if you want to help them solve the problem of their addiction, which you believe is a big problem for them, maybe they don't believe it's a problem yet, maybe they do and they just don't want to tell you about it. But if you want to solve the problem, help them solve the problem, you have to reach a point of understanding the problem. You can't solve a problem that you don't understand. Now, you may have done research and you may have watched a lot of videos and you may understand some things like, oh, well, addiction is this and addiction is that and alcoholism works this way and here are some things that I've heard people say a lot, so I know I understand addiction. But have you asked them? Have you wanted to get to the root of why they're doing this? And have you asked them and they've given you a response like, I don't know, and you're okay with that? Because that is not the same as understanding, as wanting to get to the bottom of how they actually feel and what is at the root of the emotional experience of addiction so that you can try to connect with them. If all you're consuming is content from support groups that tell you things like, you didn't cause it, you can't control it, you can't cure it, whatever they say, the 3 C's, they tell you stuff like that. They tell you to detach with love. They tell you all these comfy platitudes, right? Or once an addict, always an addict. You may hear a lot of things like, oh, they're just going to lie. That's what they do. You can't ever trust them. They get these ideas in your head. You're like, oh, I totally understand what's going on. I understand that that person's a narcissist and that person's a villain and that person is here to ruin my life. I understand that they're a terrible person and I'm going to help them stop being a terrible person. Not going to work. It's not going to work. If you are only in the perspective that your loved one in addiction is a bad guy that's messing everything up for you, you are never going to reach them. And they are never going to trust you. So this is a real call to action. Are you ready to change how you view them, to change how you show up, to change how you interact with them so that you can help? Or do you want to stay in this opinion that they are bad, that they are less than you? That's the big one. They are not as good as you are. You're the savior. They're pathetic. Has that gone in your head before? If it has, you've separated yourself so far from being able to help them. And I don't think that's what you want. So if you want something different, if you want to be able to help them, if you want to be able to connect with them again, to have a level of understanding, to develop a healthy relationship, which is possible, then it's time to do some stuff way, way different. We have a workshop on September 4th. This is actually a workshop we run every month. So if you're watching this in the future, check the website anyway, because there's probably another workshop running. We have a workshop that is a pay what you can workshop. So it's in everyone's budget. It's called Our Role in Recovery, and it'll help you unpack some of these things, some of this resentment, some of these like icky feelings of like that person's not good enough and I don't know how to stop hating them. I don't know how to get from point A to point B, where I go from, miserable, loathing them, resentful, beating myself up, trying to save them, all of these yucky feelings. I don't know how to get from there to actually helping solve the problem. This is the workshop that gives you that clean line. We work through these problems together within the workshop. We talk about all these issues, and you'll have time to actually work on it yourself and also ask me questions and show up with a spirit of inquiry and curiosity that, hey, some stuff is really not working. Some of the stuff that I've been doing is not working. So what can I do differently? If you're in that place, if you're ready to do some stuff differently, join us at the Our Role in Recovery workshop. We do it once a month. I'm going to pop the link in the description somewhere so that you can go register and join us. Let's have a conversation and let's change the conversation.